Hey! Can you tell I haven't streamed in a while? I completely forgot to go live. I'm so sorry. I've been talking to myself this whole time. Oh. How's it going, everybody? I'm so sorry. Hello, hello, I'm so sorry. I forgot to go live in YouTube. Because you go live in OBS, and then you have to click go live in YouTube as well. So yeah, no, my fault. Totally my fault. So sorry. How's everyone doing? I hope everyone had a really great weekend. I apologize for being 15 minutes late to my own stream and just working on stuff in the background with nobody watching. So sorry. Oh my gosh. I feel like a complete idiot. Oh, who do we have here? We've got Dave from Dave's Vintage Apple Tech. Hello. We've got David Starbuck. Hello. Clarjon One Plus. How's it going? Good to see you again. Also, Garth Beagle has joined. Hello, Garth. How's it going? Gosh, I feel like such an idiot. Oh, who else we got here? Walter Cardozo. Hello. Welcome back. HC. Hello. You're joined again. Good to see you again. Alright, so I'm going to undo all the stuff I just did off screen because I wasn't actually live. Because I'm amazing at this. But I do have, don't worry, we didn't get too far into the process. Let me introduce the components of the cheap PC. This one is one of the more difficult pieces to find. Surprisingly, you wouldn't think something like this would be that hard to find. But this is a GeForce GT 420 with a whopping 2 gigabytes of VRAM. It is technically DirectX capable. The low-end Fermi cards, this is a Fermi graphics card, and the low-end Fermi cards were actually real Fermi dies. Save for, I think, the 410 or the 415, which was, again, yet another Tesla die, as NVIDIA was reusing that G92 Tesla die for years and years and years in their low-end GeForces. GT210 is the best example, but we've got the NVIDIA GeForce GT 420 as a graphics card. Already installed in the test bench, I've got this is a Gigabyte something, GA870A. This is an AM3 board, not AM3 Plus, AM3. This is meant for like Phenom 2 processors, or in this case, Athlon 2, as this is an Athlon 2 X3 420. Can you sense the theme with this build? The last piece I should probably mention is this extremely generic-looking power supply, which is it is a Thermal Master, which is apparently a subsidiary brand of Cooler Master. It's a Thermal Master TM420 power supply, 420 watts. I think it's good for about 350 actually if you push it. So yeah, those are the pieces of the build. Now the reason I have this stuff all over here is because I have got my second camera set up looking at the bench. Look at that. It's like I'm a professional, except I forget to hit stream. So yeah, this is going to be the system for my cheap PC challenge entry. Got this thrown in the Rainbow Silk test bench. This is actually the mini size version of the test bench that I just released, designed for the Prusa Mini and the Kingroon KP3S, the smaller 180mm 3D printers. I'm so sorry, everybody. I'm sorry I didn't go live at the right time. I swear I've been streaming to YouTube. I just didn't hit the go live button. I'm such an idiot. Yes, Athlon 2, and yes, this power supply is hot garbage. The other thing is, I didn't plan super well. If you notice on this motherboard, that is not That is not the stock AM3 mounting bracket. You know, the AM3 mounting bracket is this big plastic thing that goes right over the socket. It's got two clips on the side. That's not that. This is for some other cooler that was not included with this motherboard. So I have to go rummage through my my AM2 and AM3 cooler collection and see if I've got something that's going to fit this board. And my guess is no. Asterisk. It might end up being a bit of a tight fit. We'll see. Oh, just wait. Just wait. Yes, it is a 423 themed build. Just wait until I get the software on this thing. We're gonna start the test on Windows 7. I just finished writing the USB drive for that, right here, and we'll get that installed on here. This is highly advanced. It's very advanced hardware. This is not, as I said, it's not AM3 Plus. So we've got PCI Express 2.0, and we do actually have a USB 3 on here, a whopping 2 USB 3 ports. Ooh. So one of the things about these test benches, and I'm actually going to pull this board out of the test bench right now so that I can get at this cooler backplate. One of the ways I designed this test bench is, you know, to install the power supply. Come on, get out of there. Install the power supply with the fan facing the motherboard, which at first seems counterintuitive, but have a good look here where the VRMs are. That's a lot of VRMs. Supposedly this board will handle 140 watt, you know, processors. I don't know about that, but take a look at where the VRMs are. Now I pulled the board off. You can see where the fan is. That was the design decision there. That fan is going to cool the backside of the VRMs and hopefully keep them a little cooler, a little less toasty. So if you have, especially if you have like a downwards facing, you know, downwards firing CPU cooler, you can actually keep garbage VRMs like this pretty cool for extended periods of time. So that was my design decision there for the test bench. I'm going to put this aside for a second. And you know what I'm going to do? Because I'm going to have to hop off camera real quick to find my AM2 and AM3 coolers. I think what I'll do is I will also find some additional screws, so I'm not putting this whole thing together with 3 total screws. Because it's kind of pathetic. I mean, it's a pathetic build, but like it's like extra pathetic. So let's get the rest of these power supply screws in here so this is mounted a little more securely. Riveting. Aren't you glad I went live? You can see this in real time. Okay, so let's get that in and then get that in. That's much more secure. I should be able to get either of these in pretty easily. That'll be the power supply quite rigidly mounted. Oh, I think that's going to go in there. So one of the weird parts about this gorgeous rainbow silk PLA that I really like printing, but I didn't realize until I printed out the version of this test bench that I ended up sending to Ron from Ron's computer videos, is that this stuff is really, once it's printed, at all times, it's super brittle. It doesn't get any less brittle when it's printed. So you have to be kind of careful when you're screwing things into one of these test benches if you've printed it in silk PLA. I did not realize that when I first started printing these things out, that there was that much difference. Like I knew silk PLA was a little more brittle than regular PLA. I didn't realize how brittle. If you screw it in there too far, you will just separate the print on the layers. Like absolutely. Let's see what chat is saying before I go rummage through my cooler collection. Neil, hello. Yes, a few of us are doing AM2 and AM3 systems. Yeah, it looks like it's a popular. It's gonna end up being a popular addition to the challenge. Yeah, Win 7 should still be installable. The activation servers are down. I think you can still phone activate Win 7. I'm not sure, but like I'm gonna use this for a day, so I don't even need to activate it, really. And Windows 7 isn't this thing's final destination. You'll have to wait for the release video for that. But I have some plans for this machine. There's a reason that I got 16 gigs of mixed brand RAM for this thing. I'm gonna try and put something on here that really doesn't belong on this machine. For the meme. Oh, that's gonna be good. I can't wait. I can't wait to finish this video off. Y'all are gonna like it, I think. Okay. I've also got my collection of video adapter dongles here, which I don't think I'm gonna need, because this video card does actually, for whatever reason, this one has a full-size HDMI port on it, despite, like, I have a GTX 460, or 465 and a 580, also Fermi, that have mini HDMI ports. But the 420 has a full-size HDMI port? I don't understand why. So I need some screws, and I need a cooler. Neil says Windows Server 2022 data center. Yeah, well, that... At least that modern, but not Windows Server. Let's see if I have any screws over here. I have little cats. Little cats that help hold things up for me. They're very helpful. They've made it into a few of my posts on social media, but unfortunately at the moment my main PC is super boring, so like they're not actually doing anything helpful at the moment. So I have an extra screws. No, I don't. There's one. There's two. You know, two will work. Two will hold a motherboard in place. Okay. Stay. Alright, I will be right back. I'm gonna grab a cooler. And let's get this thing booting, huh? Okay, so I have a cursed idea, which will be perfect for this machine. Let's try a Ryzen stock cooler on this thing. What do you think? If you've never installed one of these don't use the mounting clips, surprisingly. They go right through the back into the AM4 backplate, and I think the spacing is the same on AM3. We'll find out in a minute, but if that doesn't work, I have an air cooler I was planning to put on my main PC because I'm going to convert it back from an AIO to an air cooler. Then this should fit. I think this might actually be the same or a very similar mounting system to what's already on the board, so if the cursed option doesn't work, we've got an actual cooler for it. So let's see what we can do. So you can see the backplate that's on there. That's not the stock backplate. That is for something else. So the first thing I want to see, excuse me, is if the standoffs that are in this are going to fit this Ryzen stock cooler. Oh, that's extra cursed. It's one of the super little ones. It's the Wraith Stealth. It's so little. But you can see what I mean. This doesn't use the side clips at all. This screws right into the the back plate. So I guess we'll find out right now if this is the right spacing. It is not the right spacing. AM4 is slightly wider. That is okay. Plan B. This little gem's day will come. Probably on one of my upcoming videos for cheap Ryzen, but we get to install this Thermalright cooler together, and it has stickers I need to cut. Because of course it does. Why wouldn't it have stickers? Get this stuff out of the way here. Unlock Chill Force here. So if you're not familiar with Thermalright, they've been around for a while, but they've started to launch this really like value-oriented air cooler line, and the whole segment used to be like just absolutely ruled by like Deepcool, kind of been taken over by Thermalright now. Their coolers are cheap. This cooler was $20. I kid you not. This cooler, 6 heat pipes, this was $20. You know, they make pretty decent quality stuff. You can see it uses like a version of Noctua's Secufirm mounting. Same kind of idea. But like, their coolers are such great values and they cool really well. I was first alerted to them by Hardware Canucks. And I ended up putting one of their low-profile coolers on my PCI Express test bench, which is over there on the shelf. You can't see it, but it's over there on the shelf. One of the nice parts about being able to pick up one of my test benches is I can just disconnect my PCI Express test bench and literally put it on the shelf and get it out of the way. So this is the RGB version of this cooler because RGB makes it go faster. Maybe that's not what we want in this build though. So now we're going to find out if this thing can actually install onto AM3. Should be interesting. It might. It's got quite a number. Oh, quite a number of backplates and adapters and goodies. There's quite a lot going on in there. Officially, we only support AM4 and AM5, so might be out of luck on this one. If that fails, I think I've got another AM3 board around here somewhere. I can probably scoop the heatsink mount off of it. Let's find out, first of all, if they were nice, they included any LGA 1100, LGA 1700, oh, what's this? What's that? Oh, that's so close. That's so close. Oh, that's not going to go on there. That is so close. Darn. Wow, that is a lot closer than I thought it would be. Huh. Okay, well, That's going to be annoying. But this is part of the reason that I decided not to make heatsinks part of the cost this year. Although, if you just went and got, you know, an AM3 heatsink, probably be easier. Oh, let's see. What else do I have? I wonder if this would work. One sec. It will, I think. It might need the clips on it. This is actually a cooler I was planning to use for my upcoming Cheap Ryzen video, because this is a $7 CPU cooler. Let's see if I can get it out of the box first. It did arrive broken. UPS wasn't kind to it. Oh, it does. It uses the clips. Okay, so I need those clips. Let me see if I can scare up. Let's see if I can scare up an AM3 board here. I think I might actually have one right under the desk here. No, I moved those. Where did I put them? Don't you love it when you clean stuff and then you can't find it? FM2 and AM4 boards in the other room. FM2 is actually really close to the AM4 mounting scheme. They're very closely related. Oh, it doesn't have the cooler mount on it. Neither does that one. Shoot! I've got two really nice AM2, AM3 boards over there, but neither of them have the cooler mount on it. Darn it! Stay. Let me take a closer look at my cooler collection. Unfortunately, all of the coolers I have for this era, including this awesome gnarly, Phenom 2 cooler, they all use the clips. Take a look there. They all use the clips, unfortunately. So, we can boot this thing. We'll just boot it in horizontal mode. I'll just stick this cooler on top, see if we can get it to boot without melting, and we'll see if that works. I will have to find an AM3 cooler or mounting bracket, because apparently all my AM3 boards have none. Let's get this to focus again. Come on. There you go. Okay. Alright, so before I do this, I want to get these off of here. Grab a wrench real quick, or pliers, I guess. Nothing like a little chaos during a build. There we go. How is chat doing? Dave Starbucks says I've got Win 11 running on my $100 PC and CPUs from 2010. Yep, that's the idea. I'm gonna put Windows 11 on this thing. Ever since I saw, I forget his name, install it on a Pentium 4, I'm like, okay, I see just how important that CPU check is. It's not important at all. Wow, these do not want to come out of there. What the heck? Oh, these are not welded onto the backplate. These are just nuts. Okay, let me see if I can find a hex driver that'll hook onto the back of that. Yeah, I think that'll work. A little bit too big. Don't know if I'm going to have the right size. Guess we'll find out. Will work well enough. Somehow it's turning the nut on the back side and not the nut on the top side of the motherboard. I don't want to know what's on the front of this motherboard that's keeping these things in place. Okay, that is all of them loose. Boy, that really doesn't want to come out of there. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Try not to crush any of the SMDs on the surface of this board. Jeez. This cooler mounting system was definitely not the greatest. I never had an AM3 system back in the day. Or no, I must have, because I had an Athlon 2 X3 425. I thought it was on AM2, but I looked those things up, and these things only work on AM3, so it had to have been an AM3 system. I do not remember at all setting up a cooler retention system like that. There's the answer. How are they sticking to the motherboard? They've got a little thingy on them. Looks like maybe actually just a sticker. That's how they're sticking to the motherboard. How are we doing on time? Oh, we are. We've been at it for half an hour. I didn't stream until 15 minutes in because I'm amazing at my job. We're going to go long on this one, folks. We're going to go long. I'm going to try not to keep everybody too late, but this one's going to go long. Uh-oh. That one I think is stripped. That is not coming out of there. It's great. Can you tell this motherboard was like $20? Well loved, I think is the term. Ron, thank you. Yes, I will go along. I do need somebody else to take over the stream controls if I end up going past 6 o'clock local time. This one is not happy. This one is not happy. Yeah, that's stripped. I think I can get out of there, but it's going to take a little English. Try pressing on it from the back side. Get it to... There we go. Yeah, that's it. Okay, there's the back plate off. Let's get this thing installed in the test bench. Throw these back in their homes. Get that out of the way. All right. This is going to go right in here, like that. So my plan is just, this is a pretty big heavy cooler. I'm just going to stick it on top, hope everything works out. It should at least be enough to boot the machine. We probably won't run any benchmarks on it today because I need a cooler for it. I didn't realize that I don't have any AM3 coolers. Or at least I don't have any AM3 coolers that don't already assume that you have the plastic clips on the motherboard, which none of my AM3 motherboards have. Alright, I'll put this away, get it out of my way. I can feel the sweat. It's a warm one today. We have officially entered triple digits here in the desert. And of course, when I stream, I turn off my AC so it doesn't make a bunch of noise, but that means everything gets real warm real fast. Absolutely, Ron. If you would like to handle stuff for a bit, make sure I can... There we go. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. What do we got in chat? How are things going? Neil says, funny you say that, I'll probably have to use the Cooler Master 212 I have laying around. Yeah, 212's not a bad cooler. Way more capable than a lot of people gave it credit for. It was basically the Cooler Master 212 was basically the thermal right of its day, right? Like when we were stuck on 4 cores on the desktop and our CPUs topped out at 65 watts, You could throw a Hyper 212 on there and you'd be fine. It was like a $20-$25 cooler. Easy recommendation. Easy recommendation. And that's what these Thermalright coolers are now. Except, you know, CPU thermals have gotten a lot higher. Dave Starbucks says zip ties and foul language will make it fit. You know, that's actually not a bad plan. I might do that just for the meme, just considering the rest of this machine. Since this is the 420 machine, I guess we could probably do that. What else we got? My first Dave Starbucks is my first SLI setup was 2 Voodoo 2s. Yep. I never had that. 2 Voodoo 2s was too rich for my blood back in the day, and I couldn't even afford 1 Voodoo 2. And by the time I had money to like buy nice graphics cards, 3DFX was already dead. So the Voodoo Banshee that I used growing up was my parents'. They put it in their K6 too, and it was fine. It was fine. It wasn't a Voodoo 2, but it was actually pretty decent. What else? Yeah. Neil says, I wonder how many people successfully used it back then. A lot. I was part of the R-Build a PC subreddit on Reddit for like 5 years. And the 212 was like the go-to recommendation. If you're building a custom system, like this was Ivy Bridge Haswell days. And like that was the go-to cooler. Just throw a Hyper 212 on it. It's cheap. Sometimes it goes on sale and it's even cheaper. And it does great at cooling, you know, 4-core i7s because they never got any faster or more power hungry. Hello Pickle, welcome to the stream. Yes, the heatsink I'm looking for is next to the solder that I can't find. That is correct. You know what? I never put away my flux in the correct place, which means I can still find my flux. And that was my error. Is I put my solder away in a special place where I won't lose it, and promptly lost it. Because that's how that works. Oh gosh. Okay, so I've got 2 mismatched screws here to put this motherboard in. That should be fine. This PC is extremely serious. For anybody who joined late, if you missed it, this is an Athlon 2 X3, model number 420E. The power supply underneath it is a Thermal Master TM420, and the graphics card I'll be going with is the GeForce GT420. So there's a theme to the build. So yeah, this is an extremely serious PC. There we go. Get this one in. Did this shift around on me? It did shift around on me. Alright, motherboard is in. Let's hook up the power supply. Why is... Oh, that's not actually supposed to be that way. You never know what you're going to get when you buy a used power supply on eBay. They've zip-tied the primary motherboard power connector together with SATA power connectors. You can see the black zip ties are from the factory. The white zip tie is very much not. Unbelievable. Got another one down here. It's fine. I only nicked the power cable a little bit. Okay, so power connector in. Oh yeah, that's a high quality power connector. Whew. Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. I want to take a moment just to take a look at this board because this thing's kind of insane. So I think I poked fun at it earlier because this is PCI Express 2.0. But this competed with Sandy Bridge and H55. So yeah, Sandy Bridge and Ivy Bridge, which actually had some issues. If you weren't using a Z series board, you didn't have enough power or enough PCI Express lanes for like USB 3 and a whole bunch of SATA ports. So AMD, you know, since they didn't really have processors they could lean on to be faster than Intel, they leaned on having more I/O, which these do, surprisingly. There's enough I/O on this thing because of the hypertransport link to the South Bridge. There's enough I/O on this thing for 2 full-speed USB 3 ports on the back there that they run at the full 5 gigabits. They don't get throttled by the system. And you can see we've got 8 SATA ports on this thing. 2 SATA 2.0 and 6, I can count, 6 SATA 3.0, 6 gigabit ports, and they all have full bandwidth, which is kind of impressive for the time, honestly. Also, if you want legacy I/O, check out those yellow ports there. We've got 1394, so original FireWire, also Sony iLink, and 2 eSATA ports. And on the front, on here, we've got floppy and parallel ITE. This board's got everything. This thing's ridiculous. I will be using this 64 gig SSD. I picked up a 10 pack of these for $40, so this is a $4 SSD. Should work fine. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Again, just like with activating Windows 7, I'm going to use this thing for like 3 days. It doesn't need to be perfect. Alright. SATA cable. Power's connected. The GT420 is highly efficient and does not require a power connector of its own, so that's good. So yeah, that's basically power. Get the EPS 12 volt in here. Oh, this is great. This power supply is so garbage. You get one EPS, or a ATX 12 volt connector, and it comes with a splitter to give you actual EPS 12 volt. Super safe. Definitely recommended. Put that in there. That fits very securely. It super doesn't. That does not feel safe at all. This thing is a fire hazard. Connect our ATX 12 volt connector. And then it needs a Vampiric 12 volts off of one of the Molex connectors. That's super safe. Feel great about this. That came with the power supply. I have a feeling it was actually stock. Okay, so the Thermal Master TM420 tended to make its way into OEM systems, like really like bottom of the line OEM systems, stuff you get from like CyberPower PC or iBuyPower PC, stuff like that, like lower tier than even E-machines. NVIDIA, welcome. Welcome to the stream. NVIDIA says Gigabyte AM3 boards from that era were pretty good in terms of I/O, not only count-wise, but also performance-wise. Yes, the SB700 Southbridge is a pretty good one. It is. I was surprised when I was looking up this board, because I found the processor. Obviously, I was looking for a meme processor. So I picked up the processor and found I needed a board for it. I found this board and started looking up all of its specifications, and like it's actually a pretty decent board. This wouldn't have been a terrible build back in like 2009 or so. Ron says this build needs more Molex to Berg adapters. Just anything to convert that heat into melting. Unfortunately, it's PCI Express, so it's not AGP. But you know, I could pull out my Radeon 9800 Pro with the Berg connector on it, because you know that was a great idea. Let's do external power with a floppy power connector. Okay. What was I doing? Oh, I need a SATA cable. That's right. SATA cable. Just watch, it won't be able to boot off USB. Let's see, the white ones are marked SATA 6 and 7, so I'm guessing we're going to boot this thing off of, looks like, this one, SATA 3.0. So that goes in there. Plug this into there. Hopefully, that'll all go well. It's my boot to USB. Where did I put that? There it is. Throw that in the back here. One of these. That's a USB port. Is that a USB port? Yeah, that's a USB port. There we go. Let's see. Keyboard and mouse are right here. Let's throw that in that one. Let's see. Graphics card. This won't be terrible at all. Okay. A power supply is not doing much to increase the rigidity of this case. The way this is designed, the power supplies are supposed to be a stressed member, but the power supply is a bit too small. Just a smidge. I'll put a very small amount of thermal paste on here. Just smoosh that around. That'll be great. Alright, CPU fan connector. Oh yeah, that feels well connected. Gosh. Oh jeez. Maybe a little bit more thermal paste on there. Yeah, more thermal paste. We'll do more thermal paste. So I apologize, I haven't tallied up the total on this build yet, which sounds really irresponsible of me, but while I was putting the pieces together on eBay, my cart at checkout was $57, so I don't think I'm in any danger of running over the budget. Alright. I need to put the RAM in first before I put the heatsink on there. It's a little bit better. It'll be fine, I'm sure. Let's throw this mixed brand DDR3 in there. Come on. There we go. Beautiful. High quality. Butt in there. There we go. Okay. This will be great. And what could possibly go wrong? Look short on the motherboard, that's what I could do. Okay. I think we are ready to test. So, let's grab keyboard, mouse, video, uh-oh, too much stuff on my desk. No, video for the capture card. Go. Proud of myself. I actually plugged in an HDMI port without looking. I hate HDMI. Alright, sorry about that. So who's got bets on this just go and pop as soon as I turn it on? Oh, you know what I don't have? I need a button. Button, who's got the button? All right. Power. Right there. Okay. So everybody's got their screen recorders going, right? We'll see what happens as soon as I turn power on here. Click. Click from the power supply. It's whining. It's got capacitor whine. Oh boy. Oh boy. Now, can I get this? Yes. One moment. Here we go. That is a no-go. We got no anything. Oh. That's terrifying. Why did that take so long? Is this thing actually going to be a fire hazard? What What is this thing doing? I didn't even tell it what to boot yet. Oh my gosh. See if we can get into the BIOS. Needs a PS2 power or a PS2 keyboard to get into the BIOS. What is it doing? Oh my god, did it suspend? What is this? I would love to know what this board did in its previous life. There's so much coil line coming from this power supply. It sounds really bad. Really, really bad. So if I hold this down, it does turn off. Okay. Let me grab a PS2 keyboard and see if we can't make this work. One of the best purchases I've ever made in my life is this Cherry, what is it? What is the model number? Cherry G84. I put this together actually out of a couple of Cherry boards that I found on eBay many, many, many years ago. But this one is special because along with having a PS2 power connector, or a PS2 keyboard connector, it has AT. So this is my retro keyboard. I think these things go for ridiculous prices these days. I picked this thing up for a song back in the day. Okay, so we've got one combined keyboard and mouse connector, so I'll plug mouse or keyboard in there. There we go. Get that back on there. Mildly terrifying. Okay, let's see which does. That's turned right on. Okay. I'll take that. Let's see if we can get into the BIOS. Yes, excellent. Okay. So what do we got? I love the names of these overclocking utilities. the motherboard intelligent tweaker, MIT. Okay, so we need, do we even have USB boot enabled? Core control is on. USB, USB, USB. Everything is on. Legacy storage function. Probably just have to hit that F12 and get it to boot off of there. On-chip SATA native IDE. Let's do AHCR. Alright, so this thing lived in the old world. Everything on here is set to IDE. That's incredible. Oh, let's check the CPU thermals. How are we doing? 31 degrees with the heatsink just sitting on top of there. So that's doing okay. That's good. Smart fan controls on. I can hear it spinning up the CPU fan, so it is at least doing something. But yeah, 30, 31, 32 degrees Celsius CPU temperature is not bad at all. I will take that. I think these are on the old Glowfo process. It kept the date? It kept the date! Holy cow. It is not 4 in the afternoon though. So this lived in on the West Coast. Interesting. Huh. Well, that's fun. Alright, save, exit, and let's do F12. Will you boot off USB? You will. Oh, let's do that. Hey, look at that. We are loading Windows 7. NVIDIA says, MIT, a love-hate relationship. Ron says, needs more IDE channels. Did you see how many channels it has? It's got so much, there's so much storage connectivity on this thing. This would make a great NAS, honestly. It's got enough, it's got enough PCI Express. You can throw like a 2.5 gigabit NIC in it and just use all the, there's eight SATA ports on this thing. 8. You could put an SSD cache in here using like one of those PCIe to M.2 adapters, and then run 8 SATA drives in like RAID 6, and then put a 2.5 gig Ethernet adapter in here. This thing could be a really nice NAS, honestly. I bet you wouldn't even need a faster processor. We are booted. We are waiting for Godot. I may have plugged this into a USB 1 port, I'm not sure. There are USB 1 ports on this board. There are only 2 USB 3. And Northbridge connected USB 2 ports were a big feature back when this was released. Clarjon 1 Plus says, that's a pretty nasty board. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. NVIDIA says, don't. Just don't. The non-native SATA ports are quite slow and buggy depending on the board revision. I think that's just the 2 white ones, are the Gigabyte SATA ports, and I think the eSATA ports. Because the Southbridge provides a ton of SATA connectivity. Pickles says RAM saved the heatsink. Yeah, it's definitely trying to wiggle its way off of there. Neil says, was that the classic F1, F2, F10 Dell? F1, F2, F10 Dell? Yes, it was. Yes. I'm very talented with that. Gotten into a lot of computer BIOSes in my day. Yeah, that's true. There is no ECC support on these, and that is a shame. So this is super not doing anything, and I think it may be because Windows 7 doesn't know what to do with the USB boot on this board. I might have to pull out the CD burner and CD-ROM drive. I may have to burn a CD, y'all. This looks like it is a no-go. NVIDIA is saying that the ports on here are buggy, and that might be the reason that they're all set to IDE, because the AHCI modes were too buggy. Oops. There we go. Let's get into the BIOS. Let's see, because we have, we've got the USB storage function is on. Let me plug it into a different USB port and see if that does it. Let's see. The coil line stopped as soon as I unplugged the USB. And restarted as soon as I plugged it back in. I think this might be a USB 2 port. We'll see if it works. If it doesn't, I'll try the USB 3. But let's see, F12. It's non-native USB 3. It's an NEC USB 3 controller. Let's try it as a USB CD-ROM. Maybe that'll work. So far. There is so much coil wine. It's incredible. I wonder if I can move this around so I can show you. Well, of course now it stops. I can tell it's doing something because I can hear the coil whine. It's not like locked up, it's not doing anything. Maybe I've forgotten just how slow these things are. 2.6 gigahertz triple core. It's not exactly a barnstormer. Ron says I better boot off of LS120 just to be safe. If I had an LS120 drive, I would do it. I would absolutely do it. Speaking of which, well, I can't boot off of a zip disk. I have some internal zip drives that I could throw onto this thing, but you can't fit Windows 7 onto a 100 megabyte zip disk. Dave Starbucks, it's time for a parallel port zip drive. Alright, this is clearly not working. I'm going to try booting off the USB 3 and see what that does. It could be any number of things. It could be unable to, mount the USB after boot. I don't know why a USB 3 would make it better, because, USB 3 support was okay in Windows 7. It wasn't superb, but, I don't know. It could be that the CPU is slowly overheating and cooking itself while it's trying to load the stuff up. It could also just be that, as NVIDIA is saying in the chat, it could be that some of the USB or some of the SATA ports on it just need to be disabled because it's having trouble querying them. Let's try the USB 3 first, see what that does. If I take this one, and I think these are the USB 3 ports, plug it in there. Fire it up. See what we get. It was not the USB 3, because it can't boot off the USB 3. And that's more like what I expected. Alright, let's try shuffling around our SATA ports. using the blue SATA ports, let's try the white SATA ports. Oh, so I'll plug this in the right way. Put this into the USB 2. Can't see it from over there. Seems to be making okay contact. I guess we'll see. Alright. Let's see what that does. Oh, this is the non-native. So this is the Gigabyte. So that is it trying to boot off of the SSD, which doesn't have anything on it. Get into the boot menu. Boot from USB CD-ROM. Now it just doesn't want to do it. Now it doesn't want to do anything. Okay, I see how you are. Throw this into one of the weird yellow USB ports. That clearly was a bad idea. So let's... Yes, I can hear the coil whine. It's very loud. It's very, very loud. Let's try this port, see if that works. I'm pressing function F2, which gives me F12. So that gives me boot menu. We'll do USB CD-ROM. Wow, now it really just doesn't want to boot. It has had enough. It says no. No boot for you. Wow. What is going on? I will reset all these ports to IDE. They're probably set that way for a reason. Nowadays, you want to use your SATA ports in AHCI mode because they're faster and better that way. We're not overheating. CPU temperature is still good, so that's a plus. Let's reset all those to IDE. There we go, native IDE. Okay. Okay. Save and exit. I need to move these over to... Well, let's try it. See if it goes. Hey, there we go. Let's see what it does. Rick, hello. Someone summoned Rick's Random Retro. Hello, how's it going? RetroTrack never goes long, nor does it go short. It works precisely when it intends to. Yep, exactly. That's what we're observing right here in real time. Rick also says, the cooler from my Athlon 1200 was the dual-layer orb one. I had one of those. I had the single-layer version back in the day. We clearly didn't use enough paste and smelled something burning. The cooler heatsink had a mirrored AMD logo burned into it. That sounds awful. And hilarious. So it's doing this again. we've loaded into the installer. This is a non-UEFI Windows 7 boot. So it should work. It should work. Sort of. It booted again, but again, we're not getting to the installer screen. I may have to dig out the CD-ROM drive. I'm hoping I've got enough. I plug it into the USB hub over there, and right now, this camera is plugged in to that USB hub, and I hope I've got enough power on that hub. I hope I've got enough power for the CD burner and the camera. I guess we'll find out. if the desk cam view suddenly goes black. I'll leave this doing its thing. I've got CD-ROMs up there. My CD-ROM drive's over there. I'll grab it in a second. I want to plug this in and see if we break anything. Oh boy. Here we go. So, it's one of these cheap USB 2.0 ones that just got two connectors on it because I can't get enough power off of one. So plug the power one in first. And then plug in the actual drive. We have a USB connection noise, so that's a good sign. It seems to be functional, and the desk cam view has frozen. So, yep, there it is. Alright. I'm going to quick burn this CD and then get this thing unplugged. DVD. What would be super cool is if this Athlon figured itself out while I'm trying to burn the CD and just started the installer on stream while everyone is watching. We still have video off of the capture card? We do. So the only thing that's frozen is the desk cam. You can see I'm trying to move my hand here underneath it, and it's doing a whole lot of nothing. As I feared, plugging in that CD-ROM drive. Okay, so let's get that burned. Hey, look at that! What did I say? What would be super cool is if this stupid Athlon actually just worked. And look at what it did. Alright, let me unplug this the CD-ROM drive. Give me 1 sec, I'm going to switch off of this screen in OBS and switch back to it. See if that resets the camera. Hey, we're back! Alright, yeah. That's fantastic. That's the best option. I'll take that. It's just slow. So this is a preview of what's coming. It took this long to just get to the install screen. You can imagine how the rest of this is going to go. This is going to be so bad. Please see the SSD. Please see the SSD. Please don't make me have to reboot you and wait again. Please see the SSD. Slow Windows 7 install. I'll drink to that. Oh, the Ambrosia is as nuclear as ever. This is thrilling, isn't it? Let's see what's up in chat. What is going on? What is going on? What is going on? Oh, 1-Bit Fever Dreams. Hello. I hope you're still here. I've scrolled way back in chat because I have not been reading it. I've been a very bad host. David Starbuck says, I'm so sad I missed this. David Starbuck says, my preferred method of applying thermal paste is to apply a pea-sized amount to my tongue and then lick the CPU. Just wait. Just wait. I have a thermal paste gag in my next video. I purposefully bought a whole bunch of like Arctic MX4 thermal paste because it was on sale. I bought like 5 containers of it. I am ready to go for thermal paste jokes. NVIDIA says the plan was to go with X1900s, but the bridge cable alone sells for over 200 euros. Yes. Vintage SLI is expensive. It's one of the cool things about retro computing, right, is like you can get in and you can find all this stuff that you couldn't afford when it was new. The problem is a lot of it is still expensive. One of the things I really don't get is like why retro SLI is so expensive. Because there was a very small window where SLI, like PCI Express SLI, modern SLI, like worked, and you could use it in a large number of games, and then it just like fell by the wayside. It became like the domain of overclockers and like super enthusiasts who are going for benchmarking records, and then it died. And I don't understand why retro SLI stuff is so expensive. Like SLI motherboards, SLI chips for like, you know, remember those the Asus boards that had the little connector you had to flip around to get SLI to work? Like and yeah, the bridge cables between the two cards, so expensive. So expensive. It's ridiculous. X1900 though, one of my favorite cards of all time. Love the X1900. Keep one close at hand because I love it so much. It is my go-to retro PCI Express card. Let's see if the camera will focus on this. Classic. Just a classic. Look at that cooler. That cooler is exactly as loud as you think it is. Exactly as loud as you think it is. It's such a ridiculous card. I love it. The Athlon is still going. No level 3 cache here, folks. 2.6 gigahertz. Ron said, Amber, you might need a smaller keyboard for this machine. That massive keyboard is overwhelming the build. I know, it's just, it's so huge. All you can really see in the frame is the keyboard, and it's so distracting. What else? NVIDIA, I also use Rufus. Rufus is a fantastic USB stick writer. I use it for a lot of stuff, and I love that you can use Rufus to get past like Windows 11's weird checks for like CPU and stuff like that. It's secure boot, stuff like that. I love it. Rufus is fantastic. Hey, there we go. It's doing something. Look how slow this thing is. This is gonna be terrible. Oh. NVIDIA also answered my question. SLI and Crossfire are a gimmick, but so much fun to build. I mean, it is cool to see. Like, I do appreciate folks who actually get retro SLI systems working, and like they post the pictures of like 2 or 3 boards all stacked up next to each other. It's like, okay, that's kind of cool. I imagine that's a space heater, but that's pretty cool. The X1900 was, I believe it competed with the 7000 series. HC asked, is X1900 during the 6800 Ultra? I think it competed with 7000 series. So the 7800 GTX and 7900 Ultra. I think. I'm not super familiar with that time period, so don't quote me on that. Alright, yes, I'm totally not going to do anything weird with your software. I accept your license agreement. Oops, I need to do... No! Ah! I need to do custom install. Darn it! Are you going to go faster because everything's cached, or are you just going to be slow because you're going to be slow? Oh my god. No! I pressed the wrong button. Blast it. So annoying. Blake DMC says no GPU is louder than the NVIDIA GeForce FX 5800 Ultra. You're absolutely right. You win. I won't fight you on that one. The 5800 Ultra is horrific. Oh, I don't have one. I've heard from people who have owned one that it's bad even at idle. It's loud all the time, and it just turns into like a jet engine in your computer. Like, no thanks. And for a card that's slower than a 9800 Pro, oof. There's a reason the FX 5800 Ultra was nicknamed the Dustbuster. Yes. Absolutely. I'm so sorry. I clicked the wrong button and now we have to do this all over again. This is gonna be awful. This is just gonna be awful. Oh no. I can't believe this is this slow. Well, actually, I can believe this is this slow. Like I said, I had a 425 back in the day, and it was bad. I really didn't like it. I ended up abandoning it for a Core 2 Duo, which was night and day faster. One fewer core, much, much faster machine. Much, much faster. $7800 GS. Yeah, that was the AGP version, wasn't it? The last NVIDIA AGP card? NVIDIA says Arctic Cooling grew up on the market of aftermarket GPU coolers, especially made for FX cards. I bet. Those are definitely cards that could have used larger coolers. David Starbucks says, I have two 7800 GTX cards somewhere in the mess. I understand. I've got a 7800 GTX around here somewhere. Somewhere. Same. I also have no SLI bridge. I've got, you know, I think I actually do have two 7800 GTXs. One of them's bad, though. One of them artifacts. I think it's the RAM. The RAM is bad. The other one's fine. I cleaned out both of their coolers. They were disgusting. As you can probably guess. A card that old. Oh, and those were, you know, the 7800 GTXs were the single slot cards. Those coolers were just gross. There's so much dust in them. Blake DMC, you have joined late. You're witnessing the birth of my Cheap PC Challenge 2023 entry. This is an Athlon 2 X3 420E with a power supply underneath here on the test bench is a Thermal Master TM420, and the GPU of choice today is the GeForce GT420. So we've got some kind of theme going on. I'm building on top of the Gigabyte GA870 motherboard. It's an AM3 board, and I've got 16 gigs of mixed brand DDR3 1333 in there. And yeah, so far it is slow. The Athlon 2 X3 is, the 420E is 2.6 gigahertz with no level 3 cache. So, you know, the Phenom 2s of the era were not exactly single-core performance monsters. And then, you know, when AMD pulled out the Level 3 cache to make the Athlon 2 versions, were cheaper, they got even slower. There we go. Okay, finally. Now, I'm gonna not click the wrong thing here. Custom, thank you. There. Drive options. Format. Do it. Come on. Nuke it. Nuke it from orbit. Awesome. Windows, oh no. Windows cannot be installed to disk 0. Then make it not GPT. Let's delete it. Okay, delete. New. Apply. Yep. Unbelievable. Okay, there we go. Oh, thank God. Oh, we're installing. You got it, GT420, blaze it. With the Athlon 2 X3 420 and a 420 watt power supply, we are doing some things with this computer. Yes, we're finally installing. I know, right? Oh my god. And it's going about as fast as you'd expect it to go. Oof. Oof, oof, oof. Oh gosh. So the other thing that you missed since you came in late is this is also going in one of my 3D printed test benches. You can kind of see it over here on the edge. I'd show you the rest of it, but the CPU cooler is currently held on by Hope and a little thermal paste, because otherwise I'd just flip it over and show you it. But it is made out of rainbow PLA, to fit the theme. I'm installing Windows 7 on this right now to do the benchmarks and run through all the pointed exercises for the Cheap PC Challenge. If you want details on that, I've got a video on my video on my YouTube channel, the channel you're viewing this on right now, going over the entry rules and what benchmarks you need to run in order to enter a build into the contest. Once I'm done with that, because the last part about the Cheap PC Challenge every year is do a ridiculous thing with the machine, and I did let it slip during this install that the ridiculous thing I'll be doing with this is installing Windows 11 on it, but I have some other plans. There's a reason I'm installing 11 on it, not just to put Windows 11 on it. There's something I want to try and run on it that fits with the theme, so we'll see. And that'll all be made public once I release the video for this. I'll have an actual video going through all this. So y'all get to join me here on the admittedly extremely painful install process for this thing. I did not think this was going to be this slow. I completely forgot how slow these processors are. Oh gosh. It's alright. It's okay if you're late. That's fine. We're actually going along. I usually only run my streams about an hour. We're at the 1 hour 48 minute mark, although an hour and a half of actual streaming because I forgot to click the go live button at the start of the stream because I'm very good at my job. So, no worries. No hard feelings, but no grudges here. I hope that goes both ways. Pretty much everything that could go wrong with this build has gone wrong, except the power supply has not yet exploded. Honestly, I'm just waiting for it at this point. There's so much coil whine from this thing, it's kind of frightening. I do really wish I had a quick disconnect on my microphone up there so I could let you all hear it, because it's super bad. It is so loud. My guess is that I have this thing plugged into one of the USB 1.1 ports, I think. I'm not totally sure because they don't really mark what's USB 2 and what isn't. I know the USB 3 ports don't work for booting off of. This is a really early USB 3 system. I thought most of the ports on this would be USB 2, but maybe they aren't. We're talking about a system that's got PCI Express 2.0 in it. Like, it's older than I expected it to be, being AM3. It's just a little weird. I guess I kind of forgot how long AM3 and then AM3 Plus existed. I always thought AM3 was just starting at the FX series processors, but no, there was a whole... That was AM3 Plus, and then there was AM3 before it that was the Athlon 2s and the Phenom 2s. And then AM2 Plus before that, and then AM2 before that. It was... AMD's platforms were weird for a long time. David Starbucks says, Windows 11 isn't that bad once you strip out all the nanny state crap. Yes, I understand. Rufus can get rid of a lot of it, and I'll be turning off more of it when I install it. But yeah, I won't be running Windows 11 on it for super long. I assume it's going to be pretty painful, considering how painful Windows 7 has been on this. Yikes. NVIDIA says, I suspect BIOS bugs. In all seriousness, this is way too slow. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I do remember my Athlon 3 back in the day was a real dog, but I don't know. I assume, I hope that this thing will be faster once I actually get this installed and it's booting off of the SSD. My hope is that it's just the USB that's slow. I really hope it's not everything else. Or this could be a really, really unexciting build. Completing installation. We are restarting. Alright. So let's restart now. Let's see what it does. Fingers crossed. Booting off the SSD. Yes. I'm sorry I made you remember AMD FX. Oh, what a terrible architecture. Blake DMC says, hopefully it's not as bad as those infamous Gigabyte modern power supplies. And I don't know. There's a lot of coil line going on. And it is all coming out of the power supply. It's a little terrifying. Blake DMC also says, funny thing, I'm planning on making a Windows XP retro gaming PC with an FX 8350, because I don't trust any Windows newer than XP on an FX. Windows 7 is fine. Windows 8 probably runs pretty well on FX. It's just the processor itself is not amazing. It is like marginally faster than these K10 processors, but like only a little bit. It's only marginally faster. It's the clock rate, really. Like you can get the clock rate up quite significantly on an FX processor that you really can't get on these K10s. These K10s really top out at a pretty low clock speed. All things being equal, more clocks is more speed. Though FX is not faster than K10, slightly slower per clock, you can get a lot more clocks out of it. And Vidium says, just coil line, at least it hasn't caught on fire yet. Yes, yet. There's a reason I'm keeping this camera on, so y'all can see this thing, because who knows? Oh, it is not fast. It is not fast. That's the thing about the Athlons, is that they're these particular Athlons, you know, AMD didn't like reduce the amount of level 3 cache, they just yeeted it. They just removed all the level 3 cache. And that's kind of important. David Starbucks says the FX series are barely faster than a roll of toilet paper. They're not great. They're about Nehalem speed in terms of Intel systems. They're roughly on par with Nehalem, which is not great. Not great, especially when they were released, and they were immediately competing with Sandy Bridge, which just laid waste to Nehalem, and simultaneously, relatedly, laid waste to FX. And they just never really got any faster. Just never really got any faster. Alright, we're in first boot. We're in the out-of-box experience. Oh, that's right, it has to do... That's right. This is an old enough card that actually has drivers for it. So it's gonna do... it's gonna do the, the silly benchmark thing that Windows 7 has. Let's call this... Ambrosia. We'll call this The Curse. No worries on updates. You won't find any updates. Won't be any updates. What time even is it? That needs to go up 1 hour. Boop. There we go. That's much faster. Now that we're off of the USB, it's much faster. I say as it sits at preparing your desktop. I had to say it. Take out the USB. The coil line has changed. When I do the video for this, I'll make sure I put one of my microphones right over this thing when it's booting so you can hear the coil line on this, because it's really bad. I have some really iffy machines that make a lot of noise, but this is one of the worst. Okay, so we have got Windows 7 desktop. We don't have drivers. Yep, we're on generic, we don't have drivers. Let's see. If I can. Yeah, I've got Fermi drivers for Windows 7 on my file server here. Let me grab those. Let's see. System setup, PC, GPUs, NVIDIA. Fermi, oh shoot, that's for Win 10. I wonder if it'll work. No, that's for Win 10. Okay. I'm gonna grab some drivers real quick. Riveting! This makes great television. Alright. NVIDIA. Drivers. Down drivers. Hey, RTX 30 series, no. Definitely not. GeForce 400 series, GT 420, Windows 7 64-bit. Game Ready driver! We're getting the Game Ready driver. Oh yeah, ready for gaming. We are ready for gaming. Okay, so that's downloading. I apologize if my stream gets a little wonky with this downloading, because I have very little upload bandwidth, and downloading at the full speed of my cable connection messes with my upload bandwidth. So I apologize. What do we got in chat? What do we got in chat? David Starbucks says, XP runs like greased lightning on the old Athlon 64X2 processors. Yes, definitely. Definitely, definitely. Clarkson, have a good night. I will probably see you later. I know where you're going, and I'm headed that way once this is done. HC says it did have a Core 2 quad, 6600 for a media server. That's a lot of CPU for a media server. I assume you had it like recently, because it would make a pretty decent like media server nowadays. Nice! Neil says I just finished successfully installing the Cooler Master 212 on my board now. Well done! Excellent. Following along. This wasn't meant to be an interactive exercise, but you know, you're more than welcome to. Let's see if this is finished. It has finished. Let's get this on here. Downloads. Throw that on there. A backup of it, and I'll throw that on there. Much faster because it's USB 3. There we go. I wonder if we have USB 3 inside Windows now. I guess we'll find out. So that's the Ethernet and we've got the USB 3 underneath it. That looks like a no. I'm going to need to get the drivers for that USB 3. I really shouldn't do this blind, because I don't know how good the grounding is on this thing. There we go. I know it's doing something because I can hear the coil line change. Here we go. Open. There's my driver. Yeah, the USB in this is not fast. It is not fast. What do we got? Blake DMC says I tried an FX8350 as a dedicated streaming rig. It was too slow. Moved over to a Ryzen 5 3600. Yeah, that's a good system. 3600 is a great machine. FX not so much. Oh, HC. Started with Pentium 75, moved to a Cyrix, moved to a K62300, moved to an Athlon XP, then a Pentium 4, then a Phenom X4, and then a Core i7, then the 5950X. Nice. That's a good progression. A 5950X is pretty nice, isn't it? I was using one for a while in my PCI Express test bench. I ended up giving it to a friend. Hopefully she can find use for it. Alright. Let's open up Task Manager. Go to the Performance tab. There's our 3 cores. Look at them go. It does at least see all 16 gigs of RAM, so that's good. Thankfully, that's actually working. Yeah, Express is fine. I agree, Blake. Blake says AM4 is one of the best eras of AMD CPUs. Yes, I agree. I really love AM4. I'm planning a video to do low-cost AM4, sort of as a love letter to the platform, and also as a buying guide for folks who want to get into the platform for cheap. Because I know there's a lot of people, surprisingly, there's a lot of people who are still on very old machines out there, and upgrading to even a Ryzen 1000 series processor would be a big performance improvement for them. So I'm hoping to get that out in the next couple of weeks. My next video is cheap graphics cards, and it's almost done. I should be able to finish it this weekend, fingers crossed. And then the next one is going to be cheap Ryzen, so it should be a fun video. Yes, David Starbucks says the 5600G is a great low-cost CPU. It's one of my go-to recommendations. I love it. I built a system for one of my partners, gave it to her. It was a 5600G with a 2080 Ti in it, and it runs beautifully. The 5600G is a terrific CPU. And the nice part is, like, if you're building like a low-cost system, you can just do the 5600G. Yeah, like you said, the iGPU works great for like casual gaming, or like if you're putting together a system out of used parts and your GPU dies, you have an iGPU. You can still continue using your computer. It's something I don't understand about folks who build with like the F SKU Intel CPUs. It's like, if your GPU dies, your computer is useless. Just, you know, FYI. And it's like, well, they don't die a whole lot. And then, you know, Gigabyte's boards start cracking, and, you know, AMD's 7950 or 7900 XTX like has vapor chamber issues, and like they do break. They're not flawless. All right, doing a restart. That should get us to graphics drivers. I'm gonna need to hunt down drivers for this motherboard for the LAN and the USB 3, I think. Grab this USB out of here. Get some drivers in here. Alright, Gigabyte. Windows. I don't want to type into that window. Gigabyte GA870. Yes, UD3. Give me drivers. Yeah, it's gonna take a little bit. I think it's the same kind of teething pains that AM4 went through in the beginning. Blake is saying AM5 is certainly better than AM3, but not as stable as AM4. And yeah, I think, you know, early AM4 was kind of a little bit rocky of a start. The B350 motherboards and X370 were not amazing, especially if you tried to push them. AMD really got into their stride with the 400 series boards. The B450 and the X470 were very good, and then of course the 500 series boards are like world class. Oh right, downloads. Give me drivers for Windows 7 64-bit. Don't need the audio driver. I'll take the chipset driver. Thank you. You can put that in the normal place. Thank you. Need the LAN driver. And the USB 3 driver. Cool. Okay. At least they're not terribly large drivers. That's the nice part. EasyTune 6. I'm not going to keep this on here for very long. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Downloads, USB. Alright. And my drivers. Copy over there. There we go. Okay. The drivers. Yeah. Plug this in. Do it. Just go. Windows 7. You're so putsy. This OS, I swear. So we've got some drivers of some kind. Oh, yeah, I just installed the stupid graphics drivers. I'm an idiot. Let's put this on 1600 by 900. so y'all can see it. It's a little bit more visible. I'm sure this doesn't look fantastic to folks on stream. I'm sorry for that. Let's get these motherboard drivers in here. Oops. Holding down the wrong shift key. There we go. Oh, it's always something. Get on there. Well, that's USB 2 speed. So that is at least USB 2. I don't know why the install took so long. I really don't. Turn on. Don't hide file extensions. Ever since Windows 95, and it's just been terrible ever since. So let's get the chipset driver first, I think. How's it going over in Chatland? How's everybody doing? Everybody fall asleep yet? Yeah, that's fair. Blake says X570S is awesome, but the non-S versions of X570 kind of suck. Yeah, you're right. Because those still had a cooling fan on the South Bridge. Or I guess the processor controller hub or whatever AMD calls it. And yeah, that's not great. Pickle says the 5600X3D caught my interest. Yeah, that looks like a very interesting processor. I'm hoping to pick one up. We'll see. I currently don't have a car that can get me to the nearest micro center. My car has a range of 53 miles on a full charge, so I'm right in the middle of the process of selling it, so I can get something that will go a little further. But if I can do that in the next week or two, my hope is I can get up to the micro center in Denver and get a 5600X3D for testing. I really want one. I'm really curious. Okay, looks like that was just an extractor. It was. Okay, let's run that setup. Go. Look at that. It's a vintage ATI installer if I've ever seen one. Express. Go. Yep. HC asks if the 5800X3D beats your 5950X. Asterisk. In poorly optimized games, the 5800X3D can blow past almost anything, like Alder Lake, or Zen 3. Like Unreal Engine games are really good on it. Stuff like Shadows of the Benchmark, Riftbreaker, stuff like that. And Factorio, if you don't have a large enough dataset size, can be really impressive on the 5800X3D, but you have lower clocks, and you have half as many cores. So, like, production workloads, like video transcoding, rendering in Blender, like, that's gonna go way faster on a 5950X than on a 5800X3D. And then there are some games that just, like, they don't care. The 32 megs of cache per CCD is plenty for them. Like CSGO, a lot of older games. A lot of esports titles don't really care about the 5800X3D. They run just fine on non-X3D Zen 3 parts. And, you know, they end up running slower on a 5800X3D because you're running at a slower clock speed than the 5950X. But overall, I'd say if you're building a gaming system like dedicated gaming, or like you already have AM4 and all you do with your system is gaming, the 5800X3D makes a lot of sense. Because you can get real close to Raptor Lake in performance for, you know, not nearly as much power, not nearly as much heat, and a lot less money. especially if you already own an AM4 system. Like, it's a no-brainer for a drop-in upgrade. But if you've already got a 5950X, there's really no reason to change. I did that change. I did the 5950X to the 5800X 3D, and it's basically the same. They're both very fast. 6 in one, half dozen in the other. They're both good chips, and they're both good for gaming, and the 5950X is a little bit better, and by a little I mean a lot, better for production workloads. But like, if anyone here has seen my 5950X review video, I found out that my workload for running the channel, I don't ever use more than 8 cores. So that second CCD was useless to me, basically. Oh yeah, we'll reboot. That's fine. That second CCD was basically useless to me. So having a 5800X 3D might be just fine. My workload, or my workflow is not any slower, really, functionally, with my 5800X 3D than it was with my 5950X. Because nothing I run can take advantage of all 16 cores and 32 threads that a 5950X can present. Yep. NVIDIA says ATI CCC. Good old times, yeah. It's classic. Classic. David Starbucks says, I've never had the fan on my X570 board spin except on startup, which is good. That's good. That's better than the alternative of it just running all the time. If you remember, like the old Enforce 4 boards for Socket 939 with the little Southbridge heatsinks that all had the tiniest little shitty fans on them, and they just made tons of noise and then died. It was the worst. I don't miss that at all. Don't ever want to go back to that. It was not a fun time. Alright, so we're going to get the rest of the drivers installed. And I don't need that USB stick anymore. Boop. And let's get the USB 3 installed somewhere. There it is. Nice. Yeah, no, it's one of the coolest parts of AM4, and I think a lot of people don't give it enough credit, is that you can take... Sorry, David Starbucks said, I've upgraded a friend's X370 board from a 1500X all the way up to a 5900X. It took like 30 minutes to do the upgrade, and like, yeah, that's the thing. AM4 has just a huge swath of performance options, right? Like, you've got the 1000 series that... Where's my 1000? I don't have any of my 1000 series here. But you've got like the Zen 1, Ryzen 1000 series that are like approximately Haswell in performance, except they go up to 8 cores instead of stopping at 4. And like, that's already a pretty good start. And then you go to the Zen 2, the 3000 series, and you've got chips that are, what, 35% faster? You know, you're trading blows with like middle Skylake, like 8000, 9000 series CPUs. Even with some of the faster 3000s, you can give Cascade Lake a run for its money. And then you've got Zen 3, that's just like incredibly fast. It's one of the best CPUs that AMD's ever produced. I think anybody's ever produced. Which, you know, gives Alder Lake a run for its money, even gives Raptor Lake a run for its money in X3D form and in gaming. It's incredible. All on one platform. You just, like David said, you just update the BIOS and drop the CPU in, and ta-da! You've doubled your system performance, or better. The friend of mine that I gave the 5950X to, she's running a very early B350 with a Ryzen 3 1200. So yeah, she's in for a big upgrade, dropping a 5950X in there. I also gave her a cooler that will keep it cool. But yeah, that's she's in for a big upgrade when she finally gets that installed. It's fun too because she does a lot of work in Blender, so I'm hoping it's going to be very helpful for her. That's the kind of thing you can do with AM4. It's just like, hey, I need 6 times more performance. I'll just drop in a new CPU. Ta-da! Okay, and last but not least, the LAN driver, and we're going to plug this into the network and see what happens. Grab those benchmarks. We've got local copies of them saved here. Oh. Let's get that USB stick in there. Alright, so performance test 9, Lost Planet demo. Oh, I need a browser, aren't I? I'll use Firefox. Let's see how that works. We've got an install for Firefox on here. There's on my NAS, which is only connected by 100 megabit, which is ridiculous. I'm planning on fixing it, but I haven't yet. Okay, so that's installed. So let's do the performance test. Come on, run. Control system. Let's do the system rating. There you go. We can see what we've got here. Athlon 2X3 420E, whopping 2.6 gigahertz. Run the system rating and see what it does. Rate this computer. This will be great. Just great, I'm sure. Blake says my dedicated streaming rig has a Ryzen 5 3600 and an MSI MPG X570 Gaming Plus, which was a board not well received. Even though it's not going to be used for gaming, I'm still concerned. I don't think you have anything really to worry about. As long as you're not going to run a 5950X in it. But even then, like I said, I ran a 5950X in an A320, just a regular old Asus A320M. It ran fine. You know, keep some airflow over your VRMs, you should be okay. Yeah, that's the definitely the thing. It's like, update the BIOS on the board. If there are any settings for like power savings on that Southbridge chip or the processor controller hub, you know, make sure you've got those turned on so it doesn't spin the fan all the time. But you can probably just, you know, stick a fan over the heatsink and it'll be fine. Probably. I think that the thing is, like, it's gonna generate the most heat whenever you're running through like the PCI Express that's linked to that chipset, which isn't a lot. There's not a lot of PCI Express that goes through that chipset, even on X570. You know, on A320 it's like 4 lanes of PCIe 2.0, I think. Most of the PCI Express comes from the processor, you know, directly from the PCIe root hub on the processor. But I don't think it'd be a big deal. Like, if you don't use a lot of USB 3 that's coming off of the chipset, because again, there's USB 3 that comes off of the processor, because that's just how AM4 is. So much stuff is integrated into the CPU now, into the I/O die. There isn't a ton for that Southbridge to do. I think you're probably going to be okay. I don't know. I think you'll be fine. Hey, Pixel Pipes. Hello, Nathan. How's it going? Glad to see you. You are in. We've passed the pain period. We're actually in Windows 7 now. I decided I'd meme on this a little bit and run the CPU or run the system performance assessment in Windows 7 just for fun. Let's see how many points the GT420 scores. But we are very close to actually running the benchmarks and scoring the system with the processor heatsink holding on by hope and some thermal paste. HSync says I'm going to upgrade the 5950X to a new case and AIO. So, here's the thing. I showed you all this at the start of the video. This Thermalright cooler that I'm going to be using for my system, for my 5800X 3D. I ran an AIO on my 5950X for a while. It wasn't a particularly big AIO. I didn't run a 360 on it or anything, but like, it was practically impossible to keep cool. And the moment I put it into the A320 board and I put an air cooler on it, like a 6 heat pipe air cooler, it cooled right down. I don't know. I think if you've got the airflow, I think air cooling might be the better way to go with the 5950X. Just in my experience, at least. And I'm planning on doing the same thing with my 5800X 3D. It's yeet the AIO out of my loop, or out of my system, and use an air cooler to hopefully get the temperatures down, because I do also have temperature issues with it. I'm undervolting it, so I don't hit 90 degrees Celsius a lot, but when all 8 cores are active, like when I'm doing video transcoding, it does hit 90 degrees Celsius, and it's not great. I don't want to run it at that temperature for very long. Alright, so our system assessment, we've got a 5.6 for the graphics card. So the system score is the lowest point percentage, and that's a 5.6 for the GT420. For anybody who joined late, this is a meme build. We've got an Athlon 2 X3 420E in the system. Running on an AM3 board. I've got 4 sticks of mixed brand RAM in here for 16 gigs. GeForce GT is GT420 for graphics card, whatever AM3 board I can find on eBay for cheap, and the power supply underneath here that you can't see, but I can definitely hear through the coil line, is a ThermalMaster TM420 420 watt power supply. So we've got a theme going on for this machine. Also, it's housed in one of my 3D printed test benches that's been printed in Rainbow Silk PLA. So we've got a theme going on with this machine. And there's our performance look. Somehow the triple core Athlon managed to outperform the GT420 amazingly. But now we've got Aero turned on, so we've got glass effects on our windows. Ooh, everything fades and slides now. Ooh. All right, let's get. We should have USB 3 drivers now, so let's get these benchmarks installed. Hey, look at that. Actually works. Yes, whatever. Go ahead. Windows 7 is so fiddly. I ejected that from my Windows 10 machine cleanly. Still said that there are problems with it, so. Gotta love Windows 7. It's never happy. It's never happy. So let's throw Firefox on here. That'll be the Google Octane test. And I've got the Lost Planet demo on here for the graphics card benchmark, and then I've got Passmark Performance Test version 9. Alright, and do performance test. I'm just running this thing off of a, it's underneath here, under the keyboard. Just running it off of a $4 SSD. I bought a 10-pack of SSDs for $40, and they've been terrific for systems like this. It's just going to exist for a week or two and then be destroyed. Well, not destroyed, but I don't know what I'm going to do with this thing. I feel bad if I donated it, because it's so bad. Let's put you in downloads, actually. Downloads. Oops. Use the right keyboard. Downloads. Whoa, look at that blazing fast speed! 50 megabytes a second! I apologize if I'm looking a little shiny. I have to turn my AC off for when I record and when I stream so that it doesn't make a ton of noise. It's currently quite warm in here. It's quite warm. Blake GMC says, "Let's see how it suffers with good old Crysis." Yeah, that's. We should probably do that. I wonder if it'll run Crysis Remastered. Probably not. It's only DirectX 11. Pixelpipe says, Windows 7, the best OS ever made. It's, it was pretty good for its time, but it's really gotten fiddly with all the UAC prompts and all the naggy stuff. I'm not a big fan. I miss Windows 2000. Yeah. Blake says, my capture cards on my streaming rig at the moment is for analog and an AverMedia C027, and for HDMI, AverMedia Live Gamer 4K. You are watching this on an AverMedia Live Gamer 4K. This is being captured with one of those. I've had a lot of problems with capture cards over the years, and this one's been very good. It's been very, very reliable. So I really appreciate having it. Okay, what are we running for resolution? Oh yeah, 1600 by 900. Try and get something that is going to look okay to you guys over stream. Hopefully y'all can read that. Maybe. Anyway, let's run some benchmarks. Firefox. Let's do the Octane benchmark first. Alright. Well, Octane. Oh, right. Helps if I plug it into the internet. It's been a day. It has been a stream. Y'all who joined late, you missed some amazing, amazing stuff. And by amazing, I mean incredibly embarrassing. First of all, I forgot to go live for like 15 minutes. I did not press the go live button on YouTube. That was great. Winning. Hashtag winning. Alright, do we have network connection now? There we go. Alright, so I know Octane is retired. I want to run it anyway. There we go. Okay. Let's see what it does. This should be mostly just single-threaded. I don't think these tests work well with the, there's multi-threading in JavaScript VMs in modern browsers, but I don't think this actually does a lot of that. I don't know, maybe it does. Get some of this stuff out of the way so I can put my keyboard over here. Make this a little more convenient for me. There we go. Look at that. Okay. We've got an Octane score, 9083. Awesome. I'm just recording the stream at the moment so we can get the benchmark numbers. I will point them out in a minute. Let's do The Lost Planet. I forgot to install DirectX. I'm so bad. Let's see. I don't think I have the DirectX installer locally. Let's get Windows 7 DirectX latest. There we go. It's much snappier now that it's actually installed. If you joined late, you also missed the horror that was installing Windows 7 on this machine, because for some reason, I think it was booting off the USB as USB 1.1 instead of 2.0. It was very, very slow. Incredibly slow. Things are looking a little quicker now. I kind of want... I should probably put hardware info on here so I can see what temperature the CPU is. I don't know if the Hope and a Prayer CPU cooler is actually doing anything. It was working fine in the BIOS, but never sure. Never 100% sure. Let's do DX redist. Go right there. Yes. Disappeared. Fine. Okay, let's grab just get the portable one. Sensors only. Ah, nice. Can't run it. Our Windows version is too old. Don't have the signing certificates we need. Okay, well, I guess we'll just hope. We'll just hope. I'm sure it'll be fine. So I think that was, yeah, that was Windows Firewall. Let's relaunch that. Hey. There we go. How's it going over in chat? Blake, can it blaze it through good old Crysis? Yeah, no, we'll see. We'll see. Sloopy says, I call shenanigans, nothing is that fast in Windows. Look, look. You weren't here for the install portion. It was quite slow. We paid our penance. So we should be able to do this on the defaults, because it should set 720p for our video settings as default. Yep, 720p. That's the thing. Just run it with the defaults. Leave all these settings here, and then the FPS you get in the cave section is... Oh my god, I forgot about this. You have to press B to go back? No. What is it? How do I go back? Oh no. It's expecting a controller. Can I click back? Yes, okay. God. Alright, so let's do the performance test. Oh, that's bad. Oh. Oh, that's so bad. So if you don't know what this game is, I think it's like a Time Crisis style on-rail shooter. But it's set in like post-apocalyptic nuclear winter Earth where you've got these big bugs and stuff running around. And that's what you have to shoot. It was notable for being one of 2 DirectX 10 demos I could find. Like, they required DirectX 10, would not run on a DirectX 9 card, and weren't like DirectX 11 that was released a couple of years later. A lot of games just didn't use DirectX 10. Most of them were just DX9 games. Oh, that's so bad. Some real alpha performance there. But this was, I forget what the other one was. I did download it. There was one other one that was a DX10 demo you could just download. You could still find it and download it, but it was time-locked, where it only worked for like 6 months after it was released, so you'd have to change the clock on your computer to like run the demo, and I'm like, screw that, that's too much work. This will actually, you can download and you can run it, and like it will actually do the thing, as long as your GPU has DX10 capabilities. The funny part, though, is if you have hardware that's really fast, like modern hardware, because this will run on modern Windows. I ran this on my 5800X3D with my 3080, and it has timing issues. If it runs too fast, some of the animations don't work correctly. It's pretty funny, actually. Yeah, like this part, these 2 bugs just kind of like jitter over to each other and just kind of like run into each other constantly. They don't actually like attack each other. It's very funny to watch. Normally you'd think that would be the problem with with it running too slow, but no, it's when it's too fast. It's very funny. Yeah, it's slow. It is slow. Yeah, and that's the thing, like, David Starbucks saying, I ran into animation issues as well. I don't know what too fast is. This is the first time I've seen it animate correctly, and we're not exactly getting, you know, tons of FPS here. But, yeah, pretty much everything else I tried it on, like, because I ran through this and recorded it for the release video so that you'd have an example of what it looks like. This is the cave section you're going to be benchmarking for the competition, and it even running it on like an FM2 or FM1 iGPU, it ran too fast. It's wild. What do we get? What do we get? Cave 41 FPS. That is, I think that counts as a big oof. 41 FPS. Ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Let's close this. How do I quit this program? Oh, right. You want to know how you quit? How you quit the demo? It's right mouse button. right mouse button. Can you believe nobody bought this? Alright, so we'll finish this out with Performance Test 9, and then I have to read my rules for what I said for pointing, because I don't remember. Because I released that video a month ago. Continue. Okay. CPU mark. You end up running, you run the CPU marks, you run all the tests there. Does that start them? Run. There we go. Run all CPU tests. There we go. Passmark Performance Test 9. Cutting edge. It's not the cutting edge. Yeah, David Starbucks says 720p 60 FPS was a big deal back in the day. And yeah, absolutely. 720p was big. And remember, that was HD. 720p is high definition. It's not full HD, it's HD. It was a big deal back then. Blake says, I tried GTA 5 on my PC with a Ryzen 7 5800X 3D paired with a GTX 1080 Ti, and it acted funny because it was too fast. Yeah, GTA 5 has problems if it goes too fast, which is really interesting because I don't know if there's A, a patch for it, or B, if Rockstar cares, and C, when is GTA 6 coming out? It's kind of funny that the game is becoming basically unplayable as Rockstar continues to, like, not update it. Oh, there we go! We're in the red! 2493 CPU mark points. I'll stop recording the stream there, so that'll go into the video. Oh boy, that's bad. That's real bad. What do we got for points? 1 sec. Pop out a new window here so I can take a look at what I wrote for my scoring, because I don't remember what it was. Multiply one of these by 10 and divide one of these by 10. I don't remember what I said for what. Naughty me! I didn't write the rules in the description. Alright. Well, we've got the performance of it at least. So it's built, it's benchmarked. I need to find a cooler clip for AM3 because this is I don't think this is gonna fly. But yeah, there's the Tech Ambrosia the Tech Ambrosia Cheap PC Challenge 2023 entry and its official scores. What did we get? We got 2493 for the CPU mark. I think that translates to 24 points? Forget if I had that divided by 1,000. I think that was divided by 1,000. You know what? Let me look at my script really quick. Because I'm smart. I'm doing very well today. If you've ever wondered why I don't get out a lot of videos, this is why. Where did I put the... There it is. That's the old GPC challenge. Where is... Oh, you know what? I didn't put it in my archive yet. That's why. GPC Challenge 2023 announcement. Okay, so... Frame rate in the cave section of the benchmark, that was what, like 47? Something like that. It is... Yeah, just the frame rate. Frame rate equals points. So that's like 47 points. Horrible. The Yep, the pass mark is CPU mark divided by 100, so that'll be, for this one, that'll be 24. What is the number? 24.9. So this gives 24.9 points. And then Octane is divided by 1,000. So I forget what that was. I think it was like 9,000 points or something. So it gets like 9 points on it or something like that. So, yeah. It's slow. This thing is slow, but that's the whole point. It's a meme. Yeah, so the rest of this is going to come out in the video for this build. I'll show you installing Windows 11 on it, and then what I plan on doing with that Windows 11 install on this thing. And yeah, that'll be the video. Hopefully y'all watch it and you enjoy it and it's funny. But I think that's gonna be it for stream today. We came, we saw, we benchmarked. It's pretty great. We've got our triple core Athlon running at a whopping 2.6 gigahertz, 16 gigs of mixed brand DDR3, and the GT420 for the memes. So yeah, let's check in with chat real quick before we sign off. Pixelpipe says this benchmark absolutely murdered my 6800 GS. I would think so. I'm surprised it was able to run it because it should need DX10 support. I think the 6800 is only DX9, right? If this will run on a DX9 GPU, like yikes! Suddenly we have a new opportunity for getting slow scores in this. Blake says if GTA 5 goes higher than 160 FPS, the game says no, you're too fast. We have to nerf you. Yeah, you gotta turn your settings up all the way. You're playing on ultra settings. Blake also tried Star Wars Episode 1 Racer on the 5800X3D with the 1080 Ti. That would be, yeah, I'd imagine that would be quite the experience. I imagine that also has a problem with running at thousands of frames per second. Oh. Alright, y'all. Thank you all so much for joining. Thank you for my patience. Thank you for your patience with my idiocy at the start of the stream. As I forgot to hit stream for like 15 minutes at the start of this thing. I was just talking to myself, quite happily, cameras rolling, not going live. Thank you all for being so patient with me. I really appreciate it. Same stream and same time next week, Saturday, 4 p.m. Mountain Time. Stream for an hour or two. We went to 3 hours this time. Thanks for hanging in there. Sorry it was so long, but we got success. We found success in the end with the meme PC. It's been a good one, y'all. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you in the next video. Have a great night.